Today in Eppy's Chop Shop, finally picking up that flathead V8 here at Gilly's house. We just rolled up, so let's check this shit out. We have success. We have engine. I think we have we've not done much, but I think we were in beers, maybe in food.
Yeah, probably.
And then we'll probably go unload it, and we've got to move some of his engines around and move some truck stuff around. So
busy day.
Stay tuned. Yeah. Look out! We got a little flat. We finally get to check this thing out. Do a quick run through on it. Let me put my beer down. Being irresponsible recording here. Don't record and drink. Well, I guess, I don't know. Let's start at the back, where I'm currently at. Obviously, we've built a flathead before, so you know the design of them. I mean, the heads are nothing but a combustion chamber and a spot for your spark plugs to go. There's some cooling jackets for water to flow through. And then, but other than that, they're just a big hunk of iron. And then the valves are actually in the head, or in the block, instead of the head. It's hard for me to even say that. But yeah, the valves are in the block, not the head. And, see it back here, we just got a little oil feed. Runs up, comes up here. This is actually your oil filter. Again, similar to the Willys flathead, external, mounted up on top, and then just feeds back down. Right here, on our little super skinny, check this out, how skinny the intake manifold on these things are. But this is our fuel pump, top mounted, mechanical, obviously. Little rinky dink. Carburetor actually appears to be, if not the same, one very similar to what was on the Willys. It's very, very close, but clearly it's a Ford. Slightly different design. I mean, most of these were made by Holly. But up front here, obviously we got the little Jenny Jan generator. Way too early for alternators. Looks like our crankcase ventilation actually comes up through the intake manifold. And I was actually thinking that's what this is, but I think this might maybe be the overflow. I'm not 100% sure on that one. That's going to be a thing that I learned myself. But one really interesting thing about flatheads, if you check it, that's a water pump, and that's a water pump. This thing actually has a water pump for each head or each bank. And then the water pump is, or not the water pump, the fan is just on a pulley. This particular one has the, I don't want to say top mounted because they kind of come out of the front like the older distributors do. The older flatheads actually have the distributors actually front mounted, which I think is cooler, but I think they make a larger variety of distributors in this format. Don't quote me on that. I haven't had a V8 before, so don't hold anything that I'm saying 100% the truth. But what this is obviously a 8BA. And this came out of a bus. It is a 24 stud, and I've actually managed to crack a couple of these loose. And it's either going to be a 239 or a 255. To my knowledge, the only difference is to the stroke. That's where you get the extra cubes from. This engine is actually locked up, which sucks, but where I currently am at with it is I'm going to start blowing it apart. I actually tried flipping this thing upside down to knock all the growiness off of it, and my engine stand didn't seem very happy. So I'm going to try and get these heads off, which are probably 50, 60 pounds a piece. This intake manifold, which is probably the same. Generator's probably 20 pounds. These water pumps are probably 15 pounds a piece. So let's get this thing tore apart and try and take some stress off my engine stand here. Check this out, the bolt that broke loose is actually seized in the head more than it is the block. And by spinning the head into everything, it's in the way. I'm actually uncording the bolts. Oh man, this stinks so bad. There it is. Look at that. Fucking bolt came with it. Oh man, that thing's rough. It's rough. Oh my god, are you serious? Are you serious? Alright guys, what up? We're here back to work on the flathead, and I actually took a few days off from this thing because I got super sick. The coronavirus got me, it did, but my usual grind, getting this thing cleaned up. Let's check it out. Just real briefly, I wanted to show you just how grody this thing is. I've just been hitting this thing with the hose forever now. It just keeps pouring endless amounts of just black grossness. Oh, alright guys. So, as far as this episode goes, this is as far as I'm going to go with the teardown. Reason being, these pistons are really stuck. And as of right now, I'm just continuing to soak them in liquid wrench and pour oil into crevices, things of that sort. Just kind of let it soak and kind of, hopefully things start breaking loose. But next time you'll see this is there's a new chemical in the market of which name I can't remember. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple gallons of it and soak this entire engine in it. And what it does, it actually attacks just the rust. And I guess it can be aggressive to aluminum, which is just fine. Not reusing these pistons. So I'm going to soak it in there for probably a week or more. And hopefully that'll help me get these pistons and everything out. Reason being, I really want to save this engine. It obviously needs to go to the machine shop anyways. But the less damage I do getting these pistons and valves out, the less it's going to cost me. And what you're going to see in the little scroll through video I'm doing and right here is all I'm using, and really not even it, to be honest. I basically just want the block and the crank. I'll probably reuse that oil pan if it's salvageable, but the entire valve train, piston, rings, if I can use the rods, I probably will. I'm going to be honest, I'm probably just keeping this fuel pump around because somebody probably wants it. I don't. Believe it or not, I'm going electric fuel pump. Timing cover, may or may not reuse. I probably, and honestly, I kind of want a chrome one. And with parts that I'm talking about, let's go ahead and talk about what I want to do with this build. Believe it or not, with me being an old school kind of guy, obviously, assuming I can save this thing, I kind of want to bring it up to the modern spec a little bit. My intentions are to A, turbocharge this thing, not a whole bunch of boost. I'd like to see about 7 pounds. B, I'm a carburetor guy, but I'd be looking at probably having $800-900 in a carburetor or $1,200 in a Holley sniper system. So I think it only makes sense to spend the extra couple $100 and do the Holley sniper system. So this thing will end up with a blow through EFI, you know, and that'd be the real basic setup. I mean, just a 4-barrel manifold, Holley EFI, a small turbo. I don't know what size yet. I'll probably have to fab up some manifolds or something, but I do want to scoop up some old like Sharp, Navarro, some Metal Rock, Offenhauser heads or something. All of these things are obviously very expensive. I'm not a rich person, I'm just an average Joe. So this engine will not be a build like the Go Devil little flathead 4-cylinder did. This thing's not going to get slapped back together here in a couple weeks. This thing is probably going to take me months and months and months, if not years. You know, flathead parts are very expensive, and I'm talking about throwing fuel injection and stuff at it and a turbo. So, but I genuinely, those are my plans. If I save this thing, it's getting a turbo, regardless of EFI, carburetor. And as much as I would love to put it in something old and classic where it probably deserves to be, I'll probably get a adapter bell housing, because they're actually priced very fairly. You can pretty much adapt these things to any modern transmission you want to, whether it be automatic, manual, electronically controlled. And I think it belongs in a 1983 single cab short bed Ranger. Because I've had one and I VA swapped it with a 4-speed, and I have always crushed in that truck, and I want another one, and I think that's where this needs to go. I'm not looking at making a whole bunch of horsepower. I think I'd like to see 180 or 200 horse out of it. I know with the turbo setup in EFI, we're just like, well, it doesn't sound like a whole lot. Well, flatheads don't make a whole lot of power. They're just cool. I'm bringing it back together. It's a 70-year-old engine. You know, I want to bring it back to life. It's a relic. It's cool. You know, it's Americana. But I want to throw some modern stuff at it. You know, probably some nice polished stainless or some titanium valves. You know, throw some newer modern stuff at it. Make some extra horsepower. Some EFI so it runs good at idle, which, you know, aren't characteristics of old engines. But with that being said, that's all I got going on for this episode. And if you can't tell, the bed is out of the garage. That means Sandy's getting ready to come in here and we can start slamming that thing. Like I said, I'm hoping for at least 6 inches of drop out of that. And it's going to get the same treatment the bed did. I'm going to go through and patch any rusty holes. I'm probably going to put coilovers, or basically relocate the shock location and swap 2 coilovers. I'm still keeping leaf springs, but it'll be a self-adjusting shock sitting behind the axle instead of in front of the axle. To be honest, I got a lot going on. So again, thank you. And I'm sorry if I don't sound enthusiastic about it. And I know I'm having a beer. I really wanted this beer. I've been sick for like 4 days. It really whooped me. And I took a spill at work today. My ribs hurt real bad. I fell real hard. But man, thank you guys. We're at I think we're at 132 subscribers right now. The last video of me wrapping up the bed frame is at 50 some odd views, which is insane for only being 4 days out. So thank you guys so much. Deuces. Jada!